Hi, my name is Dr. Jennifer Agard. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about PGT-A. So PGT-A is basically testing the embryos after you've done IVF for what's called a karyotype. A karyotype is the count of chromosomes. Everyone has 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes in total. Each chromosome has thousands of genes, so it is essentially all your genetic information. The reason why we test embryos for a karyotype or PGT-A is to find out if they're viable. Not all embryos have a normal karyotype, and if they don't have a normal karyotype, then the embryos either don't implant or they can implant and miscarry. But the majority of abnormal karyotype embryos or abnormal PGT-A embryos don't result in a live birth. The testing of the PGT-A lets us know which embryos are best to transfer and are viable and give the best chance for a healthy child in an ongoing pregnancy. When we do the testing of the embryos, we take a few cells away from the trophectoderm of the embryo, which is the outer cell mass. The embryo has to be a blastocyst, not a cleavage stage embryo. A blastocyst has a ball of hundreds of cells. The inner cell mass make the baby. The outer cell mass or trophectoderm make part of the placenta. So we take a couple cells away from the trophectoderm cells, freeze the embryo, and send those cells off for the karyotype. We get those results about 2 to 3 weeks after the embryo testing, and then we find out which embryos are viable and which ones aren't. When you're ready for your embryo transfer, we prepare your uterus with either a natural cycle or supported with letrozole, or give you some estrogen to thicken up that lining, and then supplement the luteal phase with some progesterone. At the embryo transfer, a catheter goes through the cervix into the uterus and places the embryo inside the uterus at the top of the uterus, the best place, and we document that with an ultrasound. Then about 9 days later, we test your blood levels for a pregnancy test and see if it worked. The PGT-A embryos typically have a success rate of about 50 to 60%, and it has a lower miscarriage rate than non-tested embryos. So doing PGT-A greatly helps your chances of having an ongoing pregnancy, lowers your chances of multiple gestations because we are transferring one embryo at a time, and then reduces your chances of miscarriage, and overall gives you a better experience and a healthier child. Thank you so much for joining me today.